open inventory of positions, but don't mix it. Okay, and the reason we go with order flow is because order flow data is instant. It gives you demand and supply in the next tick. The open interest data is 3 minutes delayed, and that 3 minute is got a lot of pressure added to it, right? In 3 minutes an option price can move from 20 to 60, and you will not even know why it happened, right? If you're tracking open interest, it will just randomly give you a snapshot after the next third minute. But in order flow, you can see it as it happens, right? So yeah, you are an open interest trader, fine, I get it, but always give priority to order flow data. The market order helps move price faster. Now, why do I say that? Because the market order adds momentum to the existing demand and supply already there. And it helps move price further up away. And generally speaking, when we talk in terms of market orders, we get to know that these traders who put markets are generally, and I'm saying generally speaking over here, are generally the kind of people who know what they are doing. They are not people randomly trading, and they are armed with a certain set of information which tells them that I want to get into this market now, and I want to get into this market quickly. And because of that, we say that price moves faster when there is a market order. Now, a lot of us, when we first see an order flow chart, we focus on this candle. We focus on this color of this candle, and our minds are actually programmed to just look at what this color is. But this color, we have to just put it aside for some time and try to understand why sometimes this color is red and why sometimes this color is green, or what really happened between the high and the low over here. So what we are doing is, in order flow, is we are adding data to a chart. We are adding information to a chart, and we are trying to find out what happened between the high and the low of the bar, or what happened between the open and the close of the bar, right? Now the color of this candle is dependent on the open and the close, right? So if the close of the bar, this is the close, if the close of the bar is lower than the open, the color of the candle is red. Or if the close of the bar, of this particular bar, is higher than the open, the color of the candle is green, right? In order flow, what we do is we don't pay attention to the information in the color of the candle. What we do is we try to find out what has happened between this buying and the selling. Now this candle has closed over here at 11:15. Why did it close over here? Because it met a little bit of serious buying over here. Took it from the lows of 51,219 and placed it right here around this 51,275, 280 mark, right? The same thing over here. This color became red because there is a 314 lot seller which came in exactly at 51,412 and pushed this from the high to this close. So what you are seeing is you're actually getting a little bit more information than the open, high, low, and close of the bar. And you're seeing in this important points where the seller is operating and where the buyer is operating.
Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. A quick sound check. I hope I'm coming across. Great. So welcome to the 5 p.m. session, and we had an eventful expiry today. So we'll come to that later. And what you have on screen is the market profile chart of Nifty. This is the continuous futures. So today we'll start with how we read a market profile chart and what are the features we have at Vtrender and how to make use of it. So in market profile, we trade value, we don't trade price. So we see how value is formed and accordingly look to trade the value the next session. So you can see clearly last week the first 3 days formed overlapping value. So what do we make of this? How do we trade this if you want to prepare for the next session? So we make composites. Whenever the value is overlapping, we make composites. So we combine these 3 days and we make a 3-day composite because the value is overlapping. Here you get a nice Gaussian curve. So we will take this value as our reference for the next day and we'll wait for a move away from value. So that is what we got on second. Last Friday, what we saw at the open was a open drive up. You can see how the A period moved away from this value. We went on to make new highs and the B made higher highs. But then the what happened? The open drive failed. Why did it fail? Because we broke the VWAP. So once the strong open is broken, there is likelihood that we will come back into the test the uh, morning lows. So that's what happened. We got back into this value and completed the 80% rule. So this was an attempt to move away from the value, but it failed. The buyer failed. And once the buyer failed, the seller took over and the seller drove it down. So this was what happened last week. So what we were doing this week is we were filling up this profile, this elongated profile from 2nd of May. We were filling it up. So what we did on Monday 5th was form a P-shape profile, and yesterday, day before yesterday, we moved lower with an initiative selling tail. And yesterday also we had an initiative selling tail, but we also got a buying tail because we gapped lower. So we had A period tails at both ends. We had a lower open which got rejected. We got rejected from the buying tail of second, and we came back to test this previous day's value and range. So if you see these 2 days, we have formed again overlapping value. So we had merged these two profiles, and even in the report which was published in the morning, we had this as our reference, this Gaussian curve. So how do we make use of this Gaussian curve? We So before the market opens today, we have this as our value. 24433 is the value area low. 248, sorry, this is the, we always take the volume based average. So make sure you are using the volume based, especially when you're looking at the futures chart. So futures chart 24427 was the value area low of the 2-day composite, and 24495 was the value area high. And we had got sell side references at 24510. So we make this composite. So why do we make a composite, and what does that mean? In market profile, we look for a balance, and then we are ready. Once the balance is done, we are ready for a move away to imbalance. So considering this balance which was formed yesterday, we were ready for a move to an imbalance. But because today was a weekly settlement, it was looking as if today would be a subdued day and we could get that imbalance in the next session. But however, we do mark the TPOs and we monitor the auction in every 30 minutes to tell us whether the auction continues to remain in balance or is it showing signs of an imbalance. So that is what our plan for the day was. And here in the market profile chart, you can add important references. For example, the 2nd of May was a swing high. So what we can do is we can mark a custom KRL, right click, add custom KRL, have this anchored VWAP and have this as swing high. And because this is the sell side reference, we'll have it as a red color, and we will. So what this gives us is it gives us the anchored VWAP from the time this buyer failed and the seller took over. So on Monday, we were mostly above the anchored VWAP, which was at 24517. But on Tuesday and Wednesday, yesterday and day before, you could see how we got sellers right at that reference of 24517 because we left an extension handle, and today also the high we made was right there. So this becomes an important reference as long as this swing high is not taken out, and we see what the order flow and the intraday auction is doing at that level. So this is how you can mark these KRLs. You can also add any KRL you want by right clicking on the chart and create custom KRL. For example, if you want to add the FA point which we had on 16th of April, you just need to put the level there, add the description and save. So what it helps is it helps you in marking those levels on the chart. So whenever the auction is going back to that level, you know that yes, this was an important reference. So you become extra alert there. So coming back to this chart, which we have on screen. So this was our profile for yesterday. And we were looking for a move away. But what was the open today? I'll just see if you see the first few periods, in fact till the H, what we did was we made an open auction in range and the volumes are very low. How do you find out the volumes? Even in the market profile chart, we have this live panel at the top right. If you click on that, you can get the volumes which you get at each TPO. So you can see how the volumes is marked, and also you have the 5-day average and the 14-day average percentage. So you today's volume and what is the percentage compared to the previous 5-day and 14-day average. So the A period volume was just 50% of the last 5 days, and last 14 days it was just 56. So what it was telling you, you can see in fact the volumes are coming down. Till the G period we had only 25 to 30% of volumes, and that is the reason what we were doing was we were in a very narrow range. We were in a very narrow range and we were continuing to remain in this balance. And the in the spot the prominent POC was at 24,400. So it was looking like uh, the auction, the spot is going to close at that level. And we also saw good writing in the straddle 24,400 CEPE. In fact, we also in the VMR also we were taking we had taken short straddle position because of the open type and the volumes, and we were monitoring it TPO by TPO. I will come to that straddle chart in a bit. We can see how, because today is the classic example of how the straddle gave a good move lower, but immediately when the auction started to change character, the straddle gave a signal that you need to come out because it came above VWAP. And I'll show you that market profile straddle along with the line chart so that you are aware about a classic latest example, and next time it plays out you are ready to trade it. So because markets are getting faster and faster, and we cannot just take a position and sleep on it. You need to be alert, and with the information changing you need to change your bias. So you can see how the volumes till the H period, you can see even the H period was just the G period was just 34.89%. It was in the H period where the volume started to change. We will come to the order flow charts in a bit, and that will tell you how that started to give a move. The H completed this 80% rule in the 2-day value, and in the I period we left an extension handle here. And when you combine this with the order flow chart, very clearly you will be able to make out that how order flow is nothing but version 2 of market profile. You have this level of 24424 marked here as the value area low. When we come to the order flow chart, you will see how we left an extension handle there, and we got with the sellers held on to that level. The buyers were not able to take this off even 1 point after it broke. So that was giving us double confirmation. Order flow is confirming what the market profile structure was telling us, that now the imbalance is begun. So this also was start of an imbalance. Why? Because we were moving away from value. Today's open was above value, but we never sustained. We got back into this value. So this was telling us that the auction is not ready to move into an imbalance mode. And this extension handle which we got in the I period, you can see how I period volumes were 410% of the last 5-day average. So that is a classic and a very important cue that you are getting volumes precede price. And when you're looking for an imbalance to start, the initiative move will always come on good volumes. And it came right in the period where we were moving away from the value area low. So this is how you track, you make use of this live window also, and it will help you to stay in sync. Because because still here it was a very boring day, and the only trade which was on was the straddle short trade. In fact, I think it was 65 something at the open when we had shorted, and it had come down to 20 levels. So we were looking to book at around 11, but then in the I period, when we got this change, we got out of that straddle at around 25, I think. So, and once it got back above VWAP, that was change of direction. Then you could have actually gone into the long side of the leg, which was giving that move over VWAP. And I'll show you how the target of that saddle also was achieved as per the market profile chart. So coming back to the this Nifty futures market profile chart, you can see how this was confirming an imbalance is beginning, and the volumes were also high, and the volumes continued to remain high, and we went on to make new lows into the close. So this is how what started as a dull day ended as a trend day down. Why was it a trend day? Because we had this initiative selling tail, and it gave us an important cue, because it was telling us that this probe above value area high is rejected. It has failed. So from failed moves come fast moves. So once you know the probe above value area high is rejected, you are very uh, sure to realize that there will definitely be a test of the value area low of this profile. And what happens at that value area low test will set up the next direction of the auction. So this is how it was in market profile chart, and these are the features which we need to make use of. The volume, the live volume data, relative volume helps in uh, te- uh, telling us whether the move which is started is going to continue or not. In case after this 410% increase in volume in the I, the volume started to drift lower, you would have felt that the move is done. So, but that did not happen. We did uh, tone down a bit in the K period, which was an inside bar, but then again, because we made just a 143% volumes in that, but in the L again, it recorded the highest volumes of the day, which is rare. So when you're getting highest volumes in L, you know you are getting a spike, and you be ready for a close at lows. So that is what happened, and it continued in M. M was only 15 minutes, still it clocked 21,000 contracts. So the highest volumes came into the close, and we have just closed as a spike. Although it's a trend day down, we will also have this spike rules which will be active for the next session. So this is how now you know this is a fresh imbalance which has started. So now going forward, this VWAP of today, which is at 24363, we'll also come to that when we see the order flow chart. This is coinciding with the very important reference of the May series, which is a rollover point. We start every series with a rollover point, and we make it a point to make it prominent in on X or in our webinars, in the reports also, that we are bullish above that rollover point and bearish below that rollover point. So last few days we were getting buying. Even yesterday in the gap down, the buying tail was right at that rollover point. 24382 was the seaside low yesterday. So today when we broke that, we did see some demand coming first, trying to defend it. But once we broke it, we were not able to get back above that rollover point. So this VWAP of today is coinciding very close to that rollover point. So that will be our uh, major reference to remain short biased in the coming sessions. So these are the features which we use on the market profile chart, and these features you can use even in the volume market profile chart also, options market profile chart also. So just like if for example we wanted to see how a balance gets into an imbalance, we already saw this example. From 28th to 30th, we formed a 3-day balance. On second, we made a move away from this balance. We got a good move away, but that buyer failed and it came back down. So when was the last time we got this kind of a 2-day composite and got an imbalance? You can go back to that 14th and 15th April, not 14th, 15th and 16th April. So you have this option on the top where you can select the date and you can go back to any date. 16th was the day where we got that failed auction. So you can go back to that day and you can see these 2 days, 15th and 16th, were again days where we formed overlapping values. So we had a 2-day balance over here, and in this 2-day balance, what we had was an important cue which we had left a failed auction at the lows, and we had closed at high. But what happened on 17th? We came back into this value, tested almost this value area low, but this failed auction was defended, and then we went on to start this imbalance away from this value. So you can see when we start a new imbalance, you are bound to get a big move. So that is the same thing what happened today. So every time you have a balance being formed, yes, when as long as the balance is happening, you will not have much range, so trade opportunities will be lesser. But the flip side is, once you realize that the balance is done or it is almost over, then you need to be ready, because you are going to get a good move and you need to make most of that. So you can see, just like how we got that move in the I period today, we have got that move in the D period on 17th, and the D period gave a big move higher. So that is how you need to look out for, and you can easily go back to whichever day you want to uh, again revisit in the market profile chart. You just need to go to the date, select that particular date, and go there. So this is also a very useful feature, the dates, and then you have the KRLs, which I've already explained, and then the live panel, where you can figure out the volumes, how they are building TPO by TPO. So this is as far as the market profile chart is concerned. Let us now move on to the order flow of today. We will revisit the order flow, and there is a way you can replay this order flow. So even in order flow, you have this. We have done this before also. I'll just do it again. Let's just have a quick replay of just today's auction, and you need to go to the date, select the time, click on OK, and I am selected the 10x, the fastest, so that we are able to finish it fast. So you just need to start this replay. You have selected the time and the date, you have selected the speed, and you need to click on the start replay, and the order flow will start replaying from the time you have selected. So you can see how at the open we have probed higher to the 24510 level, but the POC shifted to the top. This is the RS POC, which is at 24500, and after that we are just waiting for an IB or an IS. We did not get any demand above the probe, on the probe above the value area high. We get this IS bar. So you make a note of this IS high. This IS high remained intact all through. We made multiple attempts to get above this IS high, but we failed. Although the volumes were very low after the initial few bars, the volume started to drift lower, but it was very clear that about 24,500, the seller is definitely active. Although he was not initiating entry at this level. I'll just take off this. Yeah. So what we are doing, you can see the volumes have started to drift. We are having 700, 900 contract, but now it has come down to 200, 300 contracts. So, but only Q we have got is this IS has come. You have an RS plus IS at the open, and it has come at the value area high of the 2-day composite. We had seen that. So you know that the probe above the value is rejected. So, but you need to break the value area low for more downside. Else we will remain in that balance. So the volume continued to drift lower, which is why it was an excellent time to short that straddle. You can see here again, you have this probe in the C period where we tested that IS high 24491, but we are not getting demand. You've got a zero at the highs on the buy side. So this is how you need to know what the order flow is showing us and be clear about what it is trying. So in the probe above the 2-day value, we were not getting demand. So that was very clear that the buyers are not coming in above the value area high. So what we needed to see next was if the sellers are coming below the value area low. If that happens, we would have got a imbalance. So you can see how in the C side, we just made that we tested that IS high of 24490, but we are not able to take that out. And to recall, the value area high of the 2-day composite was 24494. So here you can see the volumes are very low, 174, 77 contracts. So this is not a market you want to get into trade, because of the low volumes, it could just swipe anytime. So even if we are looking for a move, we need that move to be backed by a good in IS or an IB signal, which comes on good volumes. A 150 contract 3-minute IS bar or an IB bar will not give you much. So you need to be just patient. And here again, you can see how we are again testing that 24490 level, but we are not able to get past that. So you can very clearly see how the order flow is showing us that the supply, although we have not got any IS bars, the supply is not allowing this to get above this 24490 level. So you can see how this was an IS, but this IS was on just 188 contracts. So that does not give you that confidence. Yes, this is definitely a zone where demand is missing. But for us to go down, we need IS on good volumes. Again, this IS bar is just on 175 contracts. So we will not give that much importance. And mainly we are also above VWAP. So what we want to see is the value area low, which is at 24424. We want to see IS on good volumes over there. That will tell us, yes, now an imbalance is starting. Otherwise, we would be in that narrow range. This is the POC level where we are stalling. So we are between the value area high and the POC of the 2-day composite. So you can see how the POC is also shifted here, because the auction has been in a very narrow range of, I think, 35 points. Again, in the G period, you can see how the high was right where we have been marking 24490. So order flow was telling us multiple times that there is no demand. Here again, you are getting 2 rows of zeros on the buy side. So it is very clear that the upside has been capped. So we needed to make sure that it'll definitely go down to test the value area low. What happens there would set up the afternoon for us. Till here, even that straddle was going down. Every TPO was making lower lows. So it was only in the H after the G period got over that we started to see increase of volumes. And you can see how now we are approaching the H period. You make a note of the volumes which are there in the bottom: 312, 158, 110, 148, 122. You see now how you will get an increase in the volumes. And we know that 24500 is now with the sellers. So we want to see what happens when we test the value area low. So we are keen on the auction testing that, and order flow showing us the signal. So as we go to H, what we have done is, after that pullback high, we have left at that IS high signal 24490. Now we are below VWAP. Till this time we were above VWAP. So here you can see how the volumes have started to increase. I'll just pause this. So here you see 793 contracts and then 1285 contracts. And we have broken below VWAP and the POC very effectively, and volumes have begun to increase. So when this is happening, then what will you do? This is the start of the sellers trying to come in. So the VWAP becomes your reference. Yes, we have not yet got an IS bar, so we will wait for that. But two things are happening: the volumes are increasing and we are below VWAP. Plus, we have got an A period selling tail. So here you can see how we continue to go probe lower, and the volumes have increased. See, this was the value area low, and you can see how the buyers have come tried to defend here. The first attempt at the value area low was to defend. We had some buying which was seen, but then that buying was not able to do much, because if the buying is strong, it will take us above the VWAP of the day and it will continue to rise higher. But here you can see this particular bar where the buyers made an attempt to come in, but they could not even get back above VWAP. You can see this 667 green, 222 green RB bars. And then once we broke this, you can see this 839 seller, big red. This is what you want to see. And you can see the 3-minute volumes is 4,000 contracts. This is the highest volumes after the first 2 bars of the day. So now you know value area low has been broken by zeros in the order flow and a big red is there. So even if this is not printed in IS, the structure in this order flow bar is telling you, yes, with this VWAP as your reference, you're looking for more downside, and immediate reference would become your value area low, which is at 24424, which we saw in the market profile chart. So I'm resuming the order flow replay, and you see how we again got demand at the rollover point. You can see how you have zeros on the sell side, and we also got an IB. But what is the objective of a IB bar? IB bar first gets activated only above the highs. It needs to get volumes above the high of that IB bar, and the low of the IB becomes your stop loss. Here, what happened? This IB high was also matching with that value area low. 24424 was the value area low. We saw that in the market profile chart. So as long as, and we broke that with zeros in the order flow. So as long as we are not able to take that out with greens, we are not looking for any upside bias for the day. In spite of this, because this was a rollover point, it looked as if the buyers would come back strongly. You can see how IB was here, and you have got a trifecta of greens also in this bar with 747 green here. But what does this lead to? You see how that buying did not help, and we were not able to get back into that value of the 2 day. And once we broke the rollover point, there was attempt by the buyers to hold that rollover point. But once we broke that rollover point, just like how the 24424 became our reference, the rollover point would become our reference on the upside. So what is happening now is, you can see now we are breaking this rollover point just before the K. And here again, just like how we saw that 839 red, a big seller breaking the value area low, you're seeing a big seller breaking the rollover point. So this could also be the buyers who were trying to hold this are coming out. Nonetheless, this is only telling us that the auction is headed more lower. And our new reference would be this rollover point now. We will have to see what the auction does if it gets back to the rollover point. So once you're getting an IS, so here you see you've got an IS, and it has gone back immediately above the IS. The IS low has not been broken. So this is not it. You cannot say it is activated, but our probe is to see what you're doing above this rollover point. The rollover point is at 24380, and this bar, what are you seeing? You're seeing zeros on the buy side. When you see order flow like this, you don't need any more clearer picture to tell you that there is no demand. Okay, there is no demand. So you see how in the K period we did try to make a bounce back, but the bounce back showed us no demand coming in at the rollover point. And once we remained below this 24424, and these NPOs are very important references which the order flow leaves. So till the time those NPOs are held, it is telling you the supply can come back. So we did make a probe higher. We did make this move higher in the K period. But what happened here is we were still below the value area low. So we were just waiting. Even if we would have booked shorts here, the PLR was still to the downside. And if we would have broken these, it would have made a good case of going fresh short with the stop loss of this pullback high. So which happened in the L period. In the L period, you can see how the volumes again started to come up. The K period volumes had relatively come down to what happened previously. But as the L period started, you can see the volume started to increase. And once we broke the lows, it was just a mild down. And here again, you can see 4,270, 5,400. So this is only telling you now the auction is headed lower. This becomes your reference. This is an extension handle. So just like how our first reference was that value area low, then our next reference was the rollover point. And once you break this with an extension handle, this again has zeros in the order flow. This becomes our reference. And you can see how we went on to continue the downside probe. Yes, we did get an RB bar, but then the RB bar did not do much. We continued to hold this POC, the NPOC which was left, and even the POC shifting lower, which normally tells that the shots are booking out and you can expect a bounce. We were not able to get about this NPOC. So as long as that was happening, we could have expected a closer close because the structure was that of a trend one down. Especially on an expiry day when you've got an imbalance, generally it happens that the imbalance gets to a extreme close, and that's what you can see how the sellers continue to add even in the closing, the M period, and we went on to new lows into the close. So this was the replay of today's order flow, and how beautifully what references we had marked in the market profile chart. Those references were giving us very good cues. In the morning, we did not get demand above the value area high of the 2-day composite. We were waiting all day, and then we did not remain in the value. Once we broke the value area low, we got sellers. So that is how we had the order flow for today, and you can do the review of any day's order flow. You select the day, go back to the day in the time, and you can replay, and you can replay in whichever speed you want. So this was as far as the order flow of Nifty futures was concerned. Let us now there is queries about mid cap Nifty rollover point. The futures are hardly got any volumes in mid cap, so we don't look at that very often. Only thing what we do is, only to understand the structure of mid cap, we look at the longer term spot charts. Nifty mid cap futures hardly has any volumes, so these rollover points and other market profile order flow nuances work best where you have a liquid instrument. So you can uh, make sure that whenever you have a instrument which has got good volumes, you need to track them. Midcap hardly has any volumes, so that is not an ideal instrument to look for order flow and this all these features which we use for the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. So a quick look at the Bank Nifty profile chart of today. You can see how today was an open auction out of range. We opened above previous highs, but the volumes, again, just like what we saw in Nifty, was on the lower side. And here in the I period, when we moved away from this value, today's value, you can see how the volume jumped 246%, and then it continued to be higher, and we went on to swipe lower and test this buying tail of yesterday. So this is how these relative volumes keep you in sync with what is happening live. So if you are getting an imbalance, definitely that has to be backed by increase in volumes. You will need to have more than double the average volumes for whichever TPO you're seeing a imbalance happening. So this is as far as the market profile features is concerned. Now let us move on to another chart which I was talking about. we have we have covered how we track the monthly options and how we can have a 6 window mode where you have three calls at the top and 3 puts at the bottom: in the money, at the money, out of money. So what I have done for today is I've had only 2 calls and 2 puts. So I have the 24,200 call and 24,300 call. These are the monthly options, and these are the 30-minute order flow. And I have the 24,400 put and the 24,500 put on the bottom screen. How to go to a 4 window mode? You have these options in the right hand panel, and you just need to click. If you have a bigger screen, you can go for the 6 window mode. You can have 6 symbols here. So how does this help? How does the monthly tracking these call and the put simultaneously, and that too on 30 minutes, help? So you can see very clearly how the calls had given us A period selling tails. There were no volumes at the top on buy side, zeros. And we did get one IB here, but hardly any volume sustained over there. And put also was not showing any much of promise. Both were below VWAP till the afternoon. So when the options are below VWAP or at VWAP not doing much, you know it is range bound market and it is the option writers who are ruling. But then once you get this IB 30 bar, and it is matching with an IS30 in the call, you know that this is something which can lead to an imbalance. You can see how that first IB30 led to another IB30, and then you had another three hat trick of IB30s, which is very rare in the monthly put. This is the 24 400 on my left, and even in the 24 500 put, you can see the how in the afternoon, and this 1245 bar is matching with the H period where we saw the volumes increase. I period left that extension handle. So the IB30 got activated above this, which was matching with the extension handle we got in the market profile chart. So here you can see how you've got IS30 which got triggered in the I in on the calls, and you have IB30 which got activated in the puts. So overall it is giving you a sync of everything which is there and telling you, yes, this is a setup which you have to trade, and you have to trade with the biggest position size you can, because everything is in place here. You're moving from a balance to an imbalance. You are getting an extension handle in the market profile chart. In the calls you're getting an IS30 which gets activated. In the puts you're getting IB30s which have got activated. So this is the beauty of the setup when you are using the process and when most of the things are falling in place. So that is why we use the market profile and order flow as a combo. We do not use it individually. So if all these things are falling in place, structure is telling you imbalance has started, order flow is showing you initiative signals, there is nothing stopping uh, from going full out in that trade. So this is one way which you can track the monthly option, and it is very useful, and it keeps you in sync, and it gives you some wonderful trading opportunities. And because they come on the 30-minute time frame, automatically the range you get also is huge. So this is one thing which we had to cover. And lastly, I was talking about how it was a writer's market at the open. We have this options table, and in the options table you can see how this 24 400, this was the gamma 0 for the first half of the day, and the spot POC was right there of the 2-day balance. You can see how the volumes were highest in these two, but the open interest, the max open interest was at 122, which was at 10 lakh. And here in the put also you can see the max open interest was at 107, which was at 6 lakh 55,000. So from there we can even, I have the, this is the straddle chart, the market profile chart on the left and the line chart on the right. You can see how we got the initiative selling tail. We continue to probe lower. Here the POC has shifted down. The morning POC was around this place, 60 level, which is where most of the shots were coming in. The OI is increasing. We continue to remain below the VWAP and the POC. It continued to drift lower, making lower lows on all TPOs till the F period. So in the G period, when we fail to make lower lows, you can see how the POC also shifted to the lows. This is where Shai asked us at the VMR to come out of the short straddle, because it has given us much and there is hardly anything left. And the clear signal that it is time to go directional came at this 123 bar, where you've got a good green bar in the straddle which is closed above VWAP. And you can see how once you got this, the OI became red, and this low of that IB bar which came never broke, and we went on to probe higher and the OI continued to drop. And how what would have been the targets of this? The targets in market profile would become the previous POC and VWAP. So here it was 128 and 146, and you can see how we closed right at this 128 level, which was the POC of yesterday. So here we had the first half of the day which was completely dominated by writers. So that is the reason Shai keeps mentioning that markets are changing, markets are getting faster, we need to be in sync. And what helps us to be in sync is the features, the tools which we have at our disposal. We only need to make sure we are using them all, because it has come to our notice that most of the charts users, Vtrender chart users, don't even use even 30% of the features which are available, which is why we are using these sessions to educate, to show you what all are there and what all you can make use of, and how if you make use of all the features, the trade probability, the setup gives you more confidence. You know that this setup is something which you can go all out. Some setups is not that confidence building, so you go with lesser position size. So how to create a straddle chart, we have covered that, but I'll just quickly get back to the option table. You have the option table in the Vtrender chart menu. When you go to the option tables, you will get this table, and the middle price is the strike price. To open a straddle chart, you just need to select whichever strike price you want. So if you're looking at 24,300, you have two icons in the middle column. One is the straddle chart and one is the line chart. You just need to click on this and the straddle chart will open on the new window. So this is how you get the straddle charts. So coming to the questions, we have discussed many times how we the chord comes into play at the last. We give highest prominence to the signals, initiative signals. Chord is just one last bit of information we want to check out for. But if you're getting the signals, the structure is in play, both of them are in sync, then there is no way that will the court can overturn those things. So make sure you go hierarchy wise, you understand the structure, you know what the initiative signals are, you check where the LLTs are. The court is a mix of volumes which are coming, because you will have lot of people who have shorted before who are covering. So the green court could be only because of profit booking by the sellers. But we saw in today's order flow how at important points we were getting big sellers. Even though the court was green, we saw a 800 red at the value area low, then we saw a 600 red at the rollover point. So every time you will have these references, you go by the signal, you go by the structure, and then you will look to take the trades. And the best part is, once you get an IB or an IS signal, you will immediately book profits at your first target and trail to cost. So then it becomes a risk free trade, and you give that much of space. If it is a trending move like it was today, your first one trade would have given you bonus. So this is how we use these features. We make use of them, and it is very handy because you never know which day you get which trade. So it is definitely useful to have these charts open on your system, keep monitoring them. We have also spoken about the latest feature of CE volumes and PE volume X charts, how that also tells us which of the option volumes are increasing. So that gives us a signal that if the put writers or the call writers are under pressure. So again, as we mentioned, COT is something which we'll take into consideration at the last. And COT involves lot of parties, lot of players. So you will you will not trade just looking at COT. Structure, signals, LLTs, and then COT. So we'll go in that deviation. So I already spoke about what the reference would be on the upside. Today's VWAP would be the reference, and we will have to see how we trade based on the close today. If we are below today's close, then we are looking for more downside. We can go to the market profile chart for those references. And so so market profile is very handy in telling us what could be the probable target. So this is today's profile. So if we are opening below this POC 24166 is our immediate objective on the downside. And then if we are breaking below the VWAP of this 25th profile, you're looking at a tag of this 24058. So these would be our downside targets. And accordingly, then you will keep shifting lower. You will see what the lower references are. You have this buying tail, then you have this POC which is there. So you will keep marking them downside as far as you're making lower value on the daily chart. So market profile not just gives us the structure, it also gives us the probable targets once an imbalance is started. So for us tomorrow, we have an extension handle here, which we saw in the order flow also, which would be the reference. the immediate reference, and then we have this VWAP, which is okay. This is the TPO based. We'll always have to look at the volume based VWAP. So this would be the volume based VWAP, which is very close to the rollover point. So any bounce there, we will look for sell side signals and go short. So just to repeat, in order flow, we give highest importance to the IB and the IS signals, and then we give importance to the LLTs. Then we have the 30-minute bar 10 bar caught and the 3-minute 10 bar caught. So you go in this order and don't focus just on caught, because then you will be missing out on many important trades. So thank you guys for joining in. Hope this session would be useful and you'll be able to use the features which has been explained here. And in case you have any queries, do feel free to get in touch with us. You can mail us at support@vtrender.com, or you can DM me on X. My ID is at Uttam Goel. So we also have these references covered in the reports which are published on the website. So just you please feel free to go through them for the support and the probable target for tomorrow and also for the next week. So thank you guys and have a great evening. Signing off.